It's Sunday night. It's 8 o'clock. Welcome to All Lacrosse Live. I'm Gary Groob in Toronto, and with me, as always, I've got Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw. Shawn, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Thanks, Gary.
Excellent. And I have Muffler Mike over in Connecticut. Mike, how you doing?
I'm great.
Excellent. Great PLL week, hey, guys?
Yeah.
For some of you.
For some of us. Whoop. Yeah. Not bad. Now I'm going to go 0-4 for the next 4 weeks. That's almost a guarantee. Just a reminder before we get rolling here that all of our shows are streamed live across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, also Instagram Live. Remember to hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons. Always share. Please check out all of our shows across the Stream Punk network, whether it is cinema, whether it is combat, whether it is CFL now the season is running, anything that you can think of, we have on this network. So please give it a look. You can, if you missed a show, no worries. You can catch everything at whether you go to Stream Punk Sports, all across all the time for our shows, Stream Punk Cinema, there's YouTube channels along the Stream Punk network. If you're looking at our stuff in particular, come on over to All Across all the time. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers, where you'll find retro games, interviews, library of our shows, as well as a whole lot more. Remember, you can stay up to date with all sports by visiting streampunkentertainment.com with great articles from our huge staff of contributors. Also a reminder that our show is brought to you by 60. 60 is Canada's newest and most exciting sports uniform and teamwear brand, delivering top quality uniforms and teamwear that reflects the spirit and identity of each team. Their commitment to innovation and excellence sets them apart, ensuring that every customer experiences the perfect blend of style and functionality. Unleash your greatness with 60. Also add Lax Talk 10 for a 10% discount on your order. Very important. Add Lax Talk 10. Get that money off. How do you get a hold of them, you ask? Well, I have the answer. First of all, you can get onto Instagram at sweet_60, or you can hit the QR code that's on your screen already. If you want to email Jim, you can email him at info.sweet60@gmail.com, or go onto the website at www.sweet60.ca/60. Quality apparel, quality teamwear, everything is excellent. Jim is more than happy to work with you on everything. So give it a look. And just a reminder that working with Jim, our new line of merch will be out soon. And just to give you a little gander of some of the new things that we're working on, here you go. We're your all-wear clothing now. Whether it's jackets, looks like formal wear too, eh? Gotta have the beach shirt. The all across beach shirt is. Mike, do you wear that at all the reunions and things? Upcoming is with the Brampton Six Nations game over at Memorial Arena in Brampton on July 19th. If you are anywhere in the neighborhood, please go to the game. They are raising money for the Ontario Native Women's Association. Remember, Indigenous women are up to 4 times more likely to be victims of violence in Canada than non-Indigenous women. It is a great program. It is a great thing to be putting in towards as a charity. Please, if you have an opportunity, please head on over to the game July 19th. You're going to catch a great game, and you're going to support a great cause. Well, we talked about the PLL. We'll come back to that. We have Pat and Caden coming on in about 15 minutes or so to start talking about some water dogs and some other things around the PLL nation. But in the meantime, we're going to start out with a little bit of junior this week just to get things rolling. Shawn, why don't you get us going with a little bit of Western junior stuff?
Yeah, you bet. I guess we can start with the Prairie Gold Lacrosse League and Junior B. On Friday night, we had the Moose Jaw Mustangs keeping pace at the top of the standings. The 16-8 win over the Saskatoon SWAT. Game of the week for me, though, was Saturday. You had the Prince Albert Predators against Moose Jaw Mustangs, basically a game for first place. And really, it was a big second period for the Prince Albert Predators. They came up with 11 goals to win this one, 21-14. Matthew Cudmore had 2 goals and 6 assists for 8 points. Braden Regier had the sock trick and an assist for 7 points for Prince Albert. And for Moose Jaw, Braxton McGinnis had or McAngus, sorry, had a hat trick and 2 assists. Ryder McGilroy had 2 goals and 2 assists as well. So that was a huge win for Prince Albert. Kind of puts a little bit of separation between them and Moose Jaw now for the top of the standings. And then just this afternoon, we had the Regina Chaos picking up a 14-10 win over the Swift Current Wolverines. So that standings right now, Prince Albert is sitting at 7-0-1 for 15 points. Actually, not too far behind because Prince Albert does have a game in hand. Moose Jaw is 7-2 now in second place. The Saskatoon SWAT are 3-4-1. Swift Current Wolverines are 3-5. Regina Chaos are at 1-5, and the Weyburn Razorbacks are at 1-6. And nothing with seniors this week, but next weekend we have the Regina Heat. They will be playing host to the Standing Buffalo Fighting Sioux in the one game on. Actually, that is tomorrow night. And then Saturday, you'll have the Fighting Sioux playing host to the Saskatoon Brewers, and the Regina Heat and Saskatoon SWAT going on Saturday. And then Regina Heat and Saskatoon Brewers on Sunday, and Standing Buffalo Fighting Sioux also on Sunday with the Saskatoon SWAT.
It's not just me that has trouble with that Standing Buffalo Fighting Sioux thing.
Oh, yeah. And get used to that name too. The roster they got.
The
yeah. Over to Rocky Mountain and Alberta Junior A. We had on Wednesday 17-8 win for the Calgary Raiders over the Calgary Mounties. On Saturday, we had 13-7 the Raiders over the Miners. And then we had a 10-8 win for the Mounties over the Saskatchewan SWAT. Then this afternoon, we have the SWAT and the Raiders played, and the website says over, but I don't have a score. And currently going on right now, the Mounties and the Mounties and the Miners are at it. They're in the second period, and it is 14-7 for the Mounties. So for them right now, the standings sit at the Mounties at top at 4-2-1. The Raiders are 4-0, but of course they've got 3 games in hand over the Mounties, so that's why they're sitting in second right now. And then the Miners are at 3-1-1, and then the SWAT are still looking for their first win at 0-8. And finally, BC Junior A. We started on Monday with an 11-8 win for Victoria over Delta. Then on Tuesday, New Westminster came up with an 11-8 win over the Burnaby Lakers. Thursday, quite the game. Langley came away with a 9-7 win over Delta. Actually, Delta had a 2-goal lead. 2-goal lead. I apologize. Heading into the third period, and Langley scored 4 straight in the third to take the win on that one. And then Friday night, we had Coquitlam 10-6 winners over Port Coquitlam. Last night, Nanaimo defeated Burnaby 15-6. Then we have a couple games going on right now. I'm just going to refresh to see if I can get a latest score. And right now, the latest score we have is Port Coquitlam 8 and Nanaimo 7 in the third period. And Victoria 14, Burnaby 4 in the second period. Current standings, you have the Coquitlam Adnax at 6-1 on top of the standings. The Nanaimo Timbermen at 4-2, and they're tied with New Westminster at 4-2 and Victoria at 4-2. Then fifth, you have the Delta Islanders at 3-3, Port Coquitlam Saints at 2-5, the Langley Thunder at 1-4, and the Burnaby Lakers at 1-6.
Alrighty. Heading on over to the beautiful East here. And, a load of games also this week for the juniors. And, sorry, let me just get those guys up here. Here they are. And starting off on Monday, Oakville beat St. Catharines 12-9. They've had a bit of a rough start, so good to see that they have gotten themselves in position. The Beaches came back and beat Kitchener 12-9 on Monday as well. Peterborough beat Burlington, who's having a rough time. They, at this stage, hadn't had any wins yet. They lost 13-9. In a slobber knocker on Tuesday, Whitby and Brampton went toe-to-toe. And just like the major team, the Excelsiors of Junior get down early and then fight their way back. They were down 10-4 after one. They wound up losing 19-15, but this was an absolute slugfest. With Brampton having a big second period to bring themselves back in this game, but they just had dug a little bit too big a hole in the first that they couldn't make it back. Kitchener-Whitby met up with each other on Wednesday, and Whitby took that one 10-6. Orangeville beat on another team having a rough time on Burlington, 11-3. Mimico and St. Catharines right down to the wire. St. Catharines beat Mimico 11-10. Oakville and Six Nations played one another also Wednesday, 10-8 for Six Nations, who is up top of the standings now. The Arrows played again the next night, and they beat Peterborough 7-2. So if you don't think Six Nations is ready to try and make a run for this Minto Cup, you'd be mistaken. Oakville and the Beaches played each other on Thursday as well, and the Beaches came up with the 14-11 victory. Now, Brampton is into scoring a lot of goals. They played Burlington on Friday, and this was a 20-12 game in favor of Brampton, where Brampton got their first win of the season. They probably have 400 goals, but only one win. So good to see that they're getting on the right side of this thing now. Orangeville beat on Toronto 8-7 in overtime Friday evening. This was a hell of a game. This was one hell of a game. And Liam Matthews with the winning goal in OT with 6 seconds left, and that is your winner. St. Catharines and Kitchener faced one another. St. Catharines beat them 8-3. Orangeville beat Mimico 11-6 Saturday. Today we had Kitchener facing Mimico. They won 8-6. Six Nations beat Whitby 7-2. And that takes care of all of your games for this week. Looking at the standings, see Orangeville at 7-1, Six Nations at 7-1. The Beaches are at 5-3. Whitby 5 wins, no losses. I don't think that is up to date. I believe they lost one this week already. St. Catharines 5-3. Peterborough 3-4. Oakville 2-4. Kitchener 2-4. Mimico 1-5, Brampton 1-7, and Burlington 1-7. So we don't have any teams winless anymore. Thank goodness for that. Well, without any further ado, why don't we bring on our water dog aficionado, Mr. Pat Bernard.
Arf, 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 arf. The dogs are barking. The dogs are barking. I'm excited.
Yes, sir.
We start off on the right track here. Starting off on the right track. Gary, Shawn, Mike, this is amazing. Good times. I know I feel like I just won the Super Bowl, but after what the Phillies put me through the weekend, I'm happy. I am happy to see finally what we signed up for, what this team was supposed to look like on paper has now become a reality for this Water Dogs team. Mike Sowers all weekend long playing quarterback, surveying the field, looking who was open, finding guys that are wide open on the field. If not, he was finding guys in the mismatches. He was getting everything handed to him. The Wood Snakes gave this kid everything. everything that they were throwing him on defense, he read it well. He read what they were throwing him, whether it was a double play, he found somebody open. He found the mismatches down low, got somebody open. And Caden McCardle got 4 goals, 3 in the first quarter alone, a hat trick alone. I mean, this offense is clicking on all cylinders right now, being very creative. Jack Hanna hits the R2 button, spinning all people, finding the back of the net. I mean, this team, outside of TJ Malone for the Whip Snakes, there was no answers for them. There was really no answers. I mean, this team played very, very well, winning 16-12 over the Whip Snakes, and I cannot wait for Friday for against B-Town.
Mm-hmm. That's it in a nutshell.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Well,
I mean,
let me get Caden in on here too, so we got all of us talking PLL. Caden, welcome.
oh, my man, Caden.
Bringing a powerful.
While I have you all here, let us just bring this on up there, shall we?
No, boy.
Time
to
He's
gloat.
milking it now.
Caden looks good at 3-1
Hey,
also.
better. Listen, it's a way better start than the NLL, so I'm going to take this one. I'm going to take this absolutely. Already sitting 500 in week 1, week 2.
Well, like I say, I went 4-0, but that means the next 3 weeks I'm going to go 0-4. That's just the normal way of things. Looking at this though, Pat, the Water Dogs, you took Maryland, sir.
Yes, I did. I thought there was.
I'm
no
guilty
way.
too.
There was. First of all, I thought it was going to be a revenge factor from last week. I said, you know what? They're going to unleash hell and beat the brakes off this Water Dogs team. You could not sell me from after what I saw last year from this Water Dogs team that this team was going to be even remotely competitive. What I saw on Friday, and yet
Right.
Here they are. They rocked the Whip Snakes. Whip Snakes
I-
are now 0-2.
Right. I took Carolina on a whim because I didn't think they could play as bad as they did in week 1, and I was right. But I didn't expect that Blaze Reardon would have the game of games in that particular game with something like 21 saves or something like some crazy number.
25.
25 or even more crazy.
Which was a career high or a league high.
It's a single game record. He
Yeah,
actually
single game
broke
for-
his own record.
yeah.
So
Well then, what the hell? What the hell? Why can't I just move him to the goaltender position for the Wings? I mean, come on.
Your goaltender won 7-2 tonight. Deacon Knott won beautifully tonight.
Did he?
He did. He played terrific.
Oh.
I saw him yesterday, and they won 7-4 yesterday, and 9-2 tonight. It was 7-4 yesterday, and he's in fine form. He looks in great shape, actually. I was seeing him yesterday.
Yeah, he's a pre-workaholic, that guy.
He is, and he has fun doing it.
Mhm.
I saw him at Peterborough the week earlier because he's also doing backup goalie for the Lakers, third
Okay.
string. So he's in and around there for a major series as well. So he's getting plenty of work in the summer. So you don't worry, he'll be sharp as a tack. Now, if you can find him some defense in front of him, that'll probably be a great start.
Well, that's going to have to be Paul Day's problem coming this summer.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. We sign no paychecks over here.
You mentioned like the Blaze. I think he's talking about me.
I don't think so.
no, he's.
No.
definitely
I don't
not
think so. I think that's a Philly guy after for Philly guy.
Block him. As soon as I see that star, you block him.
Through a couple of networks, Caden.
But you mentioned Reardon making, what was it, 25? You said game
Yeah,
1 against
25.
Denver, and not to like scoff at it. 15 saves in game 2, but he kind of lost himself against California in the second game. Obviously, California goes on a massive run spanning 2 quarters, so that when you're getting outplayed, outscored like that, it's going to be kind of hard for you to take over like you did against Denver.
Absolutely. Mike, the Boston game, wow. And after you're done explaining that, we'll bring it to our goal of the week because, this is where our goal of the week came from.
Yeah. Yeah, Cannons pull out the win over the defending champs, 9-8. And yeah, we'll get to that Marcus Holman goal in just a moment. For Archers, big game from Dyson Williams, had a hat trick. Matt Moore had a pair of goals. Connor Fields and Ryan Ambler had a goal each. Tom Schreiber and Sam King held to just 2 assists each, though. Another rough day for Mike Sisselberger. Not having a great start to this season. 8 of 18 on faceoffs. 14 saves for Brett Dobson. For the Cannons, Colin Kirst had 15 saves in net. Zach Tucci, 10 for 20 on faceoffs. He had a goal to kick off the Cannons scoring. Goals from Matt Campbell, Ryan Drenner. They got a pair of goals from Jonathan Donville. And then Marcus Holman, of course, had had the game-winning goal. Had a 2-pointer earlier in the game, but scoring with 1.4 seconds left in the game on a crease dive from behind the net. So if you want to roll that
Yeah,
tape.
we'll roll that one. Yes. Again, this is our, of course, the PLL goal of the week. And here we go. Sit tight.
No flag.
Oh, they called a shot, though. They called it a shot, not a pass.
But only 5 on the shot clock, 5 on the game clock. They got to go quickly. Holman diving! Does it count? It does! Marcus Holman with a Superman goal!
What a moment! Head coach, son stepping up in the biggest spot. We thought Boston was toast, right? Utah came back, they answered. Closed that 2-goal gap, and then with seconds left, desperation mode, they flush him to his left hand. It's offside, Ryan. Invite him up the goal line extended for that backhand beauty.
Incredible finish. Holman knows short clock. I just got to go rogue here and just get at the cage. Holman every once in a while goes Leroy Jenkins style, just
Unbelievable. And that, of course, was brought to you by courtesy of the PLL and ABC. So,
Yeah, and credit to Jonathan Donville there, for kind of causing a little bit of confusion with the 2 guys behind the goal there. And just Warren Jeffrey just gets there a little too late. So, but Archers take the loss. Cannons move to 2-0. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I gotta say that it's exciting to see Dyson, continue that strength of offensive scoring that we saw him. We talked about it a lot during the NLL season, how he was kind of finally starting to get into his own, and same with last year in the PLL. For now, him to finally, I think this was Denver's first game, if I'm not mistaken, for him to score a hat trick right off the bat is just, a good nomenclature or a good sign of things to come for him throughout this whole season, and hopefully will continue into next season for our Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just a couple of things. I mean, I want to go back to Pat's game, obviously. Big win against a conference rival. That's always huge. Let's also make note that wasn't Dylan Ward in net. It was Matt DeLuca. So, Bill Tierney said, he earned the start and he really stepped up. And, I don't think the goaltending is going to be a problem for them. And, if this offense can keep playing like they did against Maryland here, they're going to be, they're going to be without their number 1 draft pick for a month probably because he's on the pup list. But if they can hold it down, I really think between them and Redwoods, I think they're both going to turn it around, and I would not be shocked if both teams make the playoffs this year.
Wow. I mean, no, it's a funny thing too, Mike. I mean, when you looked at this team, Maryland picked up more ground balls. They won the face-off battle. Maryland technically won in every category, but like you just said, the offense played like they were supposed to play on paper. Like you look at this team on paper, the paper met reality, and it was great. Like I said, the Mike Sowers just playing quarterback, for him to just sit behind the net for a few possessions, for him to find the open guy, whether it was in a double team, whether he was being double teamed, him find the open guy, him find someone in transition, him find someone down low, looking for the mismatches. He was able to translate, pass the ball over and for somebody to score. Like a guy like Cameron McCardle, who shot down low. Like I said, Jack Hanna actually, to me, had the play of the night because he bounced off somebody's chest, hit a spin move, and finds the back of the net. I mean, like I said, so far so good. Like, guys, other than TJ Malone for the Whip Snakes, they didn't have an answer. They didn't have an answer, really. And I'm shocked.
Yeah, hell, because I mean the Whip Snakes obviously have a lot of firepower themselves, and let's not forget also that Whip Snakes traded Zed Williams to the Water Dogs.
Correct.
Whether he'll
Yeah.
be playing, I don't know. I think that injury was it an Achilles or an ACL?
It was an Achilles.
Achilles.
It was
Okay,
Achilles.
so you're probably looking at 9 months.
Yeah, you won't
he's
see
gonna
him
be out
this
for a
year.
while.
So
You won't
Yeah.
see him this year. But still,
so yeah, I mean, no Zed, no CJ Kirst, but I mean, I think we can't lose sight of the fact that they had a bad record last year, but again, 5 1-goal losses last year, 3 in overtime. Flip flop a few of those results, and it doesn't look nearly as bad. So I think this team is closer than they appeared to be, at the end of last year. So, and I would contrast that with the Redwoods. The Redwoods looked terrible last year.
Yeah.
They looked worse than the Water Dogs. And, as much as I didn't think that was possible. But, now Redwoods, you're looking at, you want to talk about starting out big, 16-10 over Chaos. They beat Denver last week. And this week upcoming, who do they get? They get Archers. You're starting out from the worst team in the league last year. You're starting out 3 in-conference games in a row. And now you have a chance to go 3-0 in those games and really put the pressure on everyone in your own conference. You can take a 2-game lead in the conference in week 3.
yeah.
If they manage to beat Archers, and we always talk about rookies and just, hey, how are they going to step up? What are they going to do? I mean, we saw TJ Malone kind of seemingly out of nowhere. He was a 3rd rounder. I think no one was expecting him to win Rookie of the Year. A lot of the eyes were on, obviously, Brent Neal, Connor Schellenberger, Graham Bundy. Now you have, 3 guys on your offense, including in your midfield, that are all contributing right off the bat. Chris Cavanaugh had himself 2 goals and an assist. Andrew McAdory, a hat trick and an assist. I think he's got 4 points in both of his games so far for California. Josh Balcarso pair of goals. I mean, these three guys combined for 9 points in this game. You know, so complimenting some of the veterans like Ryder Garnsey, who had a hat trick, an assist. Dylan Malloy, 2 goals, 2-point goal, and an assist. You know, and doesn't hurt to have TD Erlin at the dot either. 17 of 24 on the game and 8 ground balls. So, and for Chaos, not as much to talk about as the first game. I mean, Adam Charlambides 4 goals. He stepped up. Jared Newman had 2 2-point goals. So maybe a point of contention for the Redwoods defense. But not much after that. Jackson Eicher, Cross Ferrari each had a goal. Garrett Degnan was held to an assist. So, and like I said, Blaze, 15 saves. He had 40 total over the 2 games on the weekend, but he got pulled in the 4th quarter for Austin Kaut. So, Chaos are 1-2, and, you know, now the defending champs have a loss, and California's one of 3 teams undefeated still.
You know, I saw this in the first game against the Atlas when Chaos played New York. You mentioned Eicher. Eicher's someone that really stood out to me. I mean, I highlighted him in the work, but I mean, he didn't play. Stillstop was another one. JJ Stillstop was another good player for the Chaos, I thought, in week 1. So it's a continuation that trust the process. It's kind of a trust the process thing for Carolina, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to have to be. I mean, you have to consider that, you know, in the past 2 years, they've lost Dane Smith, Josh Byrne, Ian McKay.
Yeah.
Do we know if Chase Fraser is playing for Chaos?
No idea so far.
This year? And then
wouldn't surprise me to see him as a Six Nations uniform.
Yeah,
they're going.
And I would add Ryan Smith too, because Ryan Smith was on Chaos a couple years ago. And now he's playing for Six Nations.
He's in Six Nations also, so
yeah.
So
it's Six Nations.
So take that, you know, take half the Buffalo Bandits offense plus Ryan Smith off that team, and yikes.
I mean, yeah,
that's a lot of shoe to fill.
And you do have Charlambides putting up 4 goals to kind of like be that offensive bridge, but it's kind of like a Jeff T situation in Ottawa where you can't just rely on one guy because you see what's going to happen. I mean, 1-2 coming out of week 2 is not ideal. So relying on one guy for a majority of your offense, specifically, like we see it with Ottawa in Jeff T, and we kind of even see it in New York with Jeff T. I mean, he practically tried to carry New York to that victory against Boston, and he just couldn't do it himself. And he was the only one potting goals. He was the only one doing anything, it seemed. So, I mean, it's an offensive inconsistency. And yes, it's really good to see Adam Charlambides continuing this scoring streak that we see him do in the NLL. But Carolina needs to say, we cannot just put everything on you. And I'm hoping that Eicher starts, take that extra step forward to be that number 2 next to Charlambides.
Definitely.
Right, and if we look at the standings after 2 weeks, Boston is sitting up top 2-0, Philadelphia 1-0, Atlas of course didn't play this week 1-1, and Maryland down below at 0-2. California, the goal differential is the one that gets to me right now, that they have a differential already of 9. They're for real, definitely 2-0.
Yeah.
Utah sitting at 1-1, Carolina 1-2, Denver 0-2. Now we saw this from last year that it doesn't take long in the way the schedule is, that if you don't start getting to the upside, that you can be out of it in a hurry. So Maryland and Denver are going to be very desperate coming up in their next games.
Definitely. And Yeah, we saw it. We saw it right off the bat with Philly and with California last year. So
And
now, upcoming, of course, this week we have Friday night. We have Philadelphia and Boston.
Oh
in the 6
yeah,
o'clock game. That's going to be a big one.
I'm pumped
Yeah.
up for that.
Somebody's leaving undefeated with a loss. California and Utah is another one that's one that you don't want to miss, because again, California's sitting at 2-0, but Utah, boy oh boy, let's just hope that Brett Dobson isn't that hurt, because remember, he got all taped up in the second half in his foot, because he's pretty banged up. We move into
that's what I was going to say again. That's a chance for California to really seize control of that division. They'll have not only 3 wins, but 3 against all their conference rivals.
Yeah,
a win each. So
now moving into the Saturday thing, here's the one that's stands out to me is New York Atlas against Maryland. Now, Atlas, of course, looked decent in week 1. Maryland is going to be desperate. So as good as the Atlas are, they need to be as good as they can be if they hope to knock off Maryland. Now, on the
Rogers has struck again.
Strikes again. Oh boy.
Gary, I kind of want to build off of what you're talking about with Maryland. Is that 0-2 coming out of week 2 is going to be tough. Now facing an Atlas team that 11 goals per game over the last 2 for them. It just doesn't seem like enough, and it's going to be for Maryland all gas, no brakes if they want to come away with a win and at least try to go into their game against Philadelphia. Is it Philadelphia or
For who? Denver?
Oh nope, I was looking at Denver, Philadelphia. That was my bad.
Yeah, no, that's the next game on today.
Yeah,
that's where we have to
but they're in a similar position. I mean, they're 0-2. They don't want to go down 0-3, and again, that 0-2 is now two conference losses. So,
and believe it or not, I mean, I'm more hyped up for I know it's going to sound weird, but I'm more hyped up for a win against Boston than I am against Denver. And here goes another caveat to it, because Pat Kavanaugh knows how to win big in Philly. He's done it back to back with Notre Dame, and this is where he comes to win. So Philly's not a scary place for him. I have a feeling that kid's going to go off. He's already got 3 goals under his belt. I'm afraid he could take that team in desperate measures. He could take Philly to the woodshed quickly. So, and plus Philly going to be fatigued playing against Boston. Yeah, it could be a scary place.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, in Denver, when you're talking about the desperation with Maryland, I mean, Denver has that same desperation. I mean, now, the big news obviously this week was, them winning the Jared Bernhardt sweepstakes, and immediately that became, oh, you've got 4 Tewaaraton Award winners on your offense. You're going to be unstoppable. Well, now you're sitting at 0-2. Someone did stop you. His name was Blaze Reardon, 25 times in a 12-9 win. So, yeah. So, there, when you want to talk desperation, I'd almost think Denver is more desperate than Maryland is.
Yeah, that's why I said that, because
of what's been built up. The hype train's been built up now.
Denver's 0-2. Philly's going to be catching some fatigue after playing Boston. Pat Kavanaugh knows how to win in Philly. He's won 2 championships here. Yeah, like you said, the backs are against the wall, and that's the one I'm more afraid of. I'm more afraid of facing than I am Boston right now.
Yeah.
I was just talking about like the offensive inconsistency that the Atlas brought, and I'm looking at the opponent. I'm looking at Maryland they're facing, who's averaging 9.5, and then we're talking about Denver averaging 10.5 goals per game. So I mean, it obviously seems like it's Philly's to lose. It's all in Philly's court. But again, like you said, Mike, it's going to be backs against the wall, kind of playing like a wounded animal, and they're going to come out with everything they can.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Well, another extreme week in PLL upcoming, and so far it's been great, and it hasn't disappointed one iota. Some great games. Hopefully, you've all been able to check it out, whether it be on linear or it's been on ESPN Plus or TSN Plus, that you've been able to catch some just phenomenal games.
I'm really,
Yes.
it's another like Albany thing. I'm really happy to see back to Maryland, Joe Nardella dominating the face-off circle. The thing he's born and bred to do.
Mm-hmm.
Born and bred to do.
Yeah.
And I love to see him control the face-off dot every week, every game. It's truly something to behold.
Definitely. Well, Pat, any last words from you before we move on?
Yes. Well, listen, I'm going to do a little trash talk. This is me with my wrestling background, me with a mic in my hand. Let me show you something because I'm all hyped up. Friday the 13th, Boston, be ready because this Winter Dog team is ready. And Friday the 13th, you're coming to Philly. You're in my backyard now, okay? And the boogeyman's going to be waiting on Friday the 13th. Let the dogs eat. Orf, orf, orf. Let's go.
Love
See
it.
you guys.
Love it. Have a great week, Pat. Thank you very much. As always, as Pat Bernard with his Water Dogs report. Caden, as always, appreciate you as well. Next week, your Atlas are in full gear, ready to rock and roll. Notice how I've had to give off way to the Atlas. I throw thee the torch for the Atlas and use it well. Hold it high. It is yours to uphold.
I'm really excited about this game against Maryland, but the one thing I'm really hoping for is that Danny Logan's coming into this game without a big injury. I know he did leave our game against Boston I think it was halfway through or in the fourth quarter. I can't remember when he left, but I know he was out. So losing a guy like that on our defensive side is really tough because I thought he played really, really well against Carolina in game 1.
Right.
So hopefully we can see Danny Logan come back to at least more than 50%, at least as close to healthy as he can. But if he's not ready to go, don't play him. Don't want to aggravate something that could continuously hurt.
Sure. And I'm looking for Entenmann to have one of those games that we went ooh and awe from last year because he's going to need to do it. Yeah. This is going to be one he's going to need to steal as well as everybody being on board if they want to come out as the winners in this one. So it's going to be a great game. So do not miss it. ESPN Plus, TSM Plus, you're able to catch it on all of these channels. So there really is no excuse. Get your butts to watch.
I'm gonna be doing something with the PLL for the Atlas games players to watch. I'm gonna keep an eye on Brian Kostiuk. No 2-point goals. He's got 4 goals right now, leading with 18 shots for the Atlas. While for the Whip Snakes, I'm actually going to go with Brad Smith. 2 2-point goals so far this year. It's something that you have to keep an eye on because those 2-point goals can quickly catch up on you. So if you're not keeping him locked down, if you're not on top of him, that's something that's going to really come back and bite you in the ass.
Absolutely. As always, Caden, thank you so much for taking the time and the effort, and we appreciate everything you're doing for us.
Thank you very much, everyone, guys.
All righty. That brings us over to some indoor. Back to box. Are we ready? Are we? Never mind. It's going to start with some Senior B, good old Ontario Series lacrosse. A lot of games. We had an extra game this week. There was a game Tuesday night where Brooklyn traveled over to Ennismore, and nothing good can happen. No, never mind. Brooklyn has been on fire this year. They only have 1 loss. They had 6 wins coming into this game, whereas Ennismore was on the opposite end of the spectrum. They had 1 win and 5 losses coming into this game. And Deacon Knott was in net for the Merchants, facing Riley Finn in net for the James gang. Now, Riley Finn had a great game. Unfortunately for Ennismore, they did not come out on top, losing 15-6. But Brooklyn fired 75 shots on him. And 15-6, I'd say that's a pretty good total when you're putting in 60 saves on the evening. Not bad. Not bad. Liam Osborne led the way with 4 goals, while Colton McNutt and Cole Tucker were close behind with 3 of their own. Up 8-5 heading into the third period, Brooklyn put it in another gear. They outscored the James Gang 7-1 in that third period to take this game. So Deacon Knott made 41 saves in the game as well. And, what can I say about Deke? He's the real deal. Moving further along, and Ennismore and Collingwood met up on Friday evening. And, Collingwood has yet to win, but that all changed. Where Cole Hanrahan, we've heard his name a number of times through the way of Senior B and from the Gales organization. He had a big night. He had 4 goals on the evening, and Collingwood outlasted Ennismore 11-7, finally getting their first win of the season. So, as I said, Cole Hanrahan had 4 goals, 2 assists. Zach Ignac had 2 goals, 2 assists. Ty Burke, 2 goals. And Braden Hickey with a goal and 5 assists led the Crews for the majority of the day. Up by 1 early in the second, 5-goal run changed the complexion of this game for the Crews. Collingwood was able to take advantage of Ennismore's sloppy play, scoring 2 power play goals in that period. And although the James Gang tried to fight back with a pair of goals in the third, Hanrahan's 4th of the game late in the period sealed that deal, and it was 11-7 as a final in that game. Also that night, the moving on, Hamilton and Brooklyn played last night, and it was a 9-6 final in that game, in which the big star in that one was Zach Kerrigan, who had a hat trick. Now, this game, I thought leading into tonight's game, they were sending messages because it got to be a pretty rough event through the third period. But cooler heads seemed to have prevailed in tonight's game as well. But what looked to be a defensive struggle turned out that Brooklyn started ramping up their offense, up 3-0 after the first period, led by Zach Kerrigan with a pair. The second period looked to be more of the same, with Brooklyn getting out to a 7-1 lead. However, Hamilton worked their way back into the game with 3 unanswered goals to make a game of it. In the third, both teams jostled for goals, and the nastiness started to come out. With the rematch the following night, tonight, both teams were posturing, but the Merchants came away with a hard-fought 9-6 victory. Now, of note, a number of the Merchant players weren't playing because this was their second of 3 games in a week. So they sat a few guys, rested Alex Amard, rested Nolan Ruddy, also rested Darren Elliott. So there were a number of guys of the regular Merchants lineup that weren't in. One of the guys that got my attention was Scott Reed. Not the biggest of guys, but he did the face-offs, and boy, oh boy, is he ever a fireball. And he was in the middle of when it got rough, and he was in the middle of a lot of the goals. And on face-offs, he was dynamite. So they have a number of guys that they can pull if they need people. Now, the last game of last night was Six Nations and Owen Sound. And, as we would imagine, the Rivermen took control early and continued that dominance throughout the game, led by Davin Bombury, and you're going to hear his name a lot on both the Chiefs and on the Rivermen. And he's a young kid. He's still got a couple of years of eligibility left, so his future is brighter than a spotlight. And, of course, his brother Brendan. But Davin had 4 goals. Thunderhill had 3 goals and an assist. And Six Nations showed just how dominant a team they could be. For Owen Sound, 5 separate scorers hit the score sheet. However, the North Stars were never able to string any goals together to gain any momentum in this game. Moving off into today, Hamilton and Brooklyn played in their rematch. And after what looked to be a defensive struggle, because the first period ended 1-0. Kerrigan had the 1 goal in the first. The Merchants were able to capitalize on a few of the opportunities afforded to them. In the second, more of the same. However, Sorry. Gotcha. In the second period, they started opening up, and all of a sudden, Brooklyn was getting a hold of power plays. They got 3 power play goals of the 5 goals they scored in the second period. And Hamilton wasn't able to solve Deacon Lott until the 1959 mark of period 2. Not going to win many games if you're only scoring 1 goal. And that continued into the third period where, of course, Brooklyn kept up the pressure and got a couple more goals, one on the power play as well, making Hamilton pay every time they took a silly penalty. Deacon Lott was almost unbeatable in this game, giving up a mere 2 goals, while also adding an assist on a Grant Breo goal to start the second period. Brooklyn put the exclamation point on the weekend with a 9-2 victory, taking both ends of the home-and-home series. And that is the way that the OSL finished for this week. Looking ahead to next week, there are a couple of games to circle on the schedule. On Friday, the Owen Sound North Stars and the Ennismore James Gang will face each other over in Ennismore. Saturday has a couple of big games. Owen Sound and Ennismore will play yet again in a rematch. Collingwood will face Hamilton at the Dave Andreychuk Arena in Hamilton. And Sunday, Collingwood will face Hamilton over again in the Dave Andreychuk Arena. Strange schedule, guys. Very strange schedule. But got to get these games in. I guess it saves travel. I don't know. I would figure home and home, but what do I know? If we're looking at the standings, you'll see that Brooklyn is up 9-1 in first place. Six Nations is in second place at 6-2. Owen Sound is sitting in third place at 4-2. Hamilton, after a rough weekend, is at 2-4. And Collingwood and Ennismore are both sitting at the bottom of the standings here at 1-7. Some great games though, and decent crowds and fun crowds. I was in Brooklyn yesterday for the game, and just a lot of fun. And the bar's open too. Never hurt. Remember, in Coburg, the beers stay cold regardless because it's about -11 in there. We actually found now that Brooklyn has put down the New York Riptide turf. Very eye-popping. Very eye-popping from the old cement. Though I do miss the squeak, squeak, squeak of the floor. And the mop coming out every whistle so they can wipe up the sweat. But really it fits beautifully in the arena too. So it looks like it was belonging there. But it used to be that you go into the main room where you walk in and buy your tickets, and the air conditioning is there, but you go into the arena and it was sweltering. Well, the air conditioning's going there, and I think they had the people from Coburg come and adjust it for them. Boy, did they get there. You know, very, very cool. Don't have to worry about your beer being warm. It's also cool that I was talking with a bunch of old Redmond players. That's how long ago they were playing. During the intermissions and stuff like that, it was fun, and having a chat with Gavin Proud, who is the former captain of Colorado, but also the GM of both Brooklyn teams, the Merchants and the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club, and talking about a number of different things, including the President's Cup coming up in August, and some really great things on the go there. So looking forward to all of that. And that will bring us over to the WLA. Well, gentlemen, you guys have got a lot of explaining to do because there's some really weird things going on in here.
Oh man,
Yeah,
like we lived off of Sunday night. That was a wild one. Maple Ridge comes away with a 12-11 overtime win, and I'm going to take it to the third period because this is just insane. Dylan McIntosh scores on the power play for the Burrards at 11:22 to give Maple Ridge and 5-goal lead, 11-6. So you're thinking this one's probably pretty well in hand. Colton Lidstone scores on the power play at 15:23, and you're now at 11-7. The Timbermen pull Colby Bowman for the extra attacker. And the Timbermen score 4 goals in the last minute 33. So you had Ryan Sheridan score with a minute 33 left. 11 seconds later, Colt Lidstone scores. Now it's 11-9. With a minute and 1 second left, Jeremy Wadrick scores. Now you're down by 1. Luke Pilcher scores again with the extra attacker. This is all with the goalie out of the net with 5 seconds left to tie it 11-11 to send the game to overtime. In overtime, 44 seconds in, Ryan Sheridan takes a crease violation, minor penalty for the Timbermen. Then with 58 seconds, Dylan McIntosh ends it to give the Birds the win in what was a wild finish, because going down by 5, I don't think anyone saw Nanaimo coming back to at least force overtime in that one.
Right. Great way to start our week, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We moved to Wednesday's Thunder and Lakers game, and a little bit more of a disparaging result.
Yeah. So we're going to see a tough week for Burnaby. They had 3 road games this week, including one tonight. But they get doubled up by Langley, 12-6 on Wednesday. Another big game from Chase Scanlon for the Thunder, 5 goals and an assist. Josh Mills, 2 goals and an assist. Toru Morimatsu had a goal and 2 assists. You had Luke Grove and Kyle Brunch, each with a goal and an assist. And Caleb Kahn, 52 saves in net for the Thunder. For Burnaby, 2 goals from Silas Richmond. Goal and an assist each from Ben McDonald and Thomas Vela. Isaac Richmond and Butch LaRue each had 2 assists. Keegan Malenichuk, 33 saves. And Gordy Phillips, 20 of 21 at the dot for Burnaby. So that's got to hurt even more that you get doubled up like that when you won almost every face-off. So Burnaby's taking the shots, but they're just not falling. I think they've outshot their opponent in almost every single one of their games. So, but they've yet to find a win.
Right. And that brings us over to another Lakers game next night.
Yeah, Burnaby is on the road to New West, and they actually weren't quite outshot, or didn't quite outshoot New West. New West had the shot total 57-52, but New Westminster came away with a 13-8 win. So as Mike said, it was a bit of a rough week thus far for the Burnaby Lakers. For New Westminster, Hayden Dixon had 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points. Tyler Pace, a pair of goals and 3 assists. Mitch Jones, 2 goals, 2 assists. Justin Getty got the start and made 42 of 50 saves. Well, for the Lakers, Ben McDonald had 2 goals and 2 assists. He got a couple of goals from Sam LaRue. Keegan Malenichuk, again, saw a lot of rubber, but kind of tried to keep the Lakers in best he could, stopping 44 of 57 shots.
Right. Anybody surprised at the Friday game with the Shamrocks and Burrards, other than me? Because that's the first blemish on their regular season record in a year and a half.
Yeah, really shocked, actually. Like I said, it's weird, this Burrards team, going back to the standings here, so let me pop them up. I believe they are, even though they only have the 1 win, they're a -7. Yeah, they're only -7 goal differential, even though they're 1-2-2.
Right.
And of course, they had that one game that was forfeited. But I mean, even with that 1 win, I think this team is, as I said, I think they're going to be a spoiler. Even if they make it into the playoffs, those top teams, like even that tie, considering how close it is between Victoria and New Westminster, that tie could potentially make a difference.
Yeah.
In that first place battle.
I think they're better than they've shown so far this year, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was concerned when they had that first tie with Coquitlam, just because they kind of blown a 4-goal lead in the third period to allow that. And I think we saw last year, I believe Coquitlam missed the playoffs because of a tie, essentially, last year. But now, I mean, now that they have 2 ties, at least they've got 2 points out of it.
Yeah.
The forfeit was actually Burnaby, not Maple
Oh,
Ridge.
I'm sorry, that was
but it was against Victoria
still,
as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I mean, either way, you know what? You very good point about that, because actually, Maple Ridge had a 3-goal lead at one point in this game and let that slide as well.
Yeah. I mean, so hopefully that doesn't, kill morale too much.
Right.
But hey, I mean, 2 points are better than none. So.
Yeah. Come down to the end of the season, every point's going to matter.
Well, especially considering it's, at least with this game against Victoria, which is one of the favorites to win this league.
Yeah, definitely. Though I'm starting to think New West is going to give them a run for their money.
It's looking that way. Like I said, the way it's going, this tie could be the difference between first and second.
What we're going to wind up with is an East All-Star team against a West All-Star team by the time we're done to the Mann Cup. So,
essentially, yeah.
Simple. Because just looking at both Victoria and looking at New West lineups, it's a who's who. And, Six Nations, Peterborough, the same idea over in the East. Moving on over to Saturday, and you had the elation over in Coquitlam because the Adanacs finally really walloped the team. And Langley had that team.
A little bit of a surprise there too, because Adanacs came away with 11-3 win, and for Langley, I mean, I know they don't have the firepower they've had in past years, but just put up 3 goals is quite quiet. And of even more interest is the fact that it was actually who was in goal for Adanacs. It was Andrew Gallant. It was not Christian Del Bianco that allowed only 3 goals. That'd be almost scary if it was CDB.
Yeah, and I think Caleb Connor was in net for Langley as well. So I think this was his first road game of the year.
Yeah, and I mean, he's put time with another con in Marcus in goal. But yeah, I mean, for that next, Brett McIntyre, 3 goals and 2 assists, pair of goals by Adam Noakes, 2 goals by Jalen Chester. And really not much to talk about with the Thunder. You got goals from Nathan Lamb, Aiden Baker, and Dylan Kinnear, and those were literally your 3 goal scorers.
Yeah, not a game to write home for if you're Langley. But they are a lot more depleted than they have been in some of their glory years. So to put them in a rebuild is probably a good sign of the times. Seeing Rod Jensen behind the bench again because he stepped away for a bit. So they have good leadership. So it's only a matter of time before they get back to the game. But, in the meantime, it is a little bit painful to watch. But, we're watching it in the East also against, when you have teams like Owen Sound going against Six Nations, where you have to kind of look at the game like this.
Yeah.
Because it gets ugly at times. And sometimes it just looks Harlem Globetrotter-esque, for lack of a better phrase. So you just have to wonder. And until rules are put in place, it's never going to change.
It's still a little bit of head scratcher. I mean, still you're looking at a Langley team that put up 12 against Burnaby.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, maybe Burnaby's not one of the top teams in the league, but still they only put up 3 goals.
Right.
Against Quitlam, it's a little bit of a head scratcher.
Right. Well, we got one going on right now, and that's Burnaby at Nanaimo, and they are, lo and behold, winning 5-1 at the moment. So lots of time left, still half a game to go. But
I was going to say one of these teams is finally going to get a win, but now I probably just jinxed it.
Watch it become a tie. But it's interesting. And later on tonight, of course, the Adanaks and Burrards are going to be playing. over in the Cam Neely Arena, and that's going to be interesting too, because I expect quite a bit from Maple Ridge. I think that they can do a lot more than they have done, and Coquitlam, have the ability to really pull one out, but consistency doesn't seem to be on their step. You think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're, Coquitlam's been a little underwhelming, especially with the whole hoopla around Christian Del Bianco returning.
Right.
For them to be in the position they're in right now. I mean, 1-2-1.
Yeah.
And with the one win, coming when he wasn't in net. So
interestingly enough, eh?
Yeah. And I mean, looking at Maple Ridge, I mean, you're right. Especially, I'm really looking at Marcus Clark. She's having a fantastic season so far, and really kind of quarterbacking that offense for Maple Ridge right now. And we've talked about last year too with Brandon Humphrey in goal. I mean, that guy's really underrated.
Right.
He's played some excellent lacrosse even last year, and maybe this is the year they take that extra step and make the playoffs. We'll see, I guess.
Right. And you're talking, Mike, about the difference of that tie. And if the season ended right now, that tie is what gets the Shamrocks in as number one. Something tells me by the end of it, if the Salmon Bellies keep going at their pace, they're going to be up by that half margin and really sitting in first.
Well, yeah.
Will play a big difference in the way this thing turns out, I think.
Yeah, because that's the thing. They're up by 1 point with that tie, but Salmon Bellies still have a game in hand, right? So,
yeah. So, it's hard to say that already out of it, but, the Timbermen and the Lakers, if they don't wake up quick, they will be sitting there hoping to be a spoiler for somebody. And that's going to be quick. Which will make this very much a, that is whether it's the Adanacs or Burrards or Thunder between the three of them for who takes the two spots, right?
Yeah, and really, if you get that one win with Burnaby and Nanaimo, obviously one of them's going to get it. I mean, it puts you right back in it with Coquitlam with 3 points and Maple Ridge with 4. I mean, you're back in it. I mean, it's still early, but it gives you at least an outside shot, right?
It almost seems like lambs to slaughter, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, then again, the way Maple Ridge is playing,
true,
it could be tough to get that 4th spot.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting. We got a big week this week also. Wednesday, the Adanacs and Thunder meet. The one you got to circle is the Thursday game. I don't know which one of you two have it, but it's Victoria and New West. And that one's going to be a big one.
Huge.
Friday, New West plays the Lakers. Saturday, the Thunder play the Timbermen, as well as the Lakers and the Adanacs. That's also going to be a pretty big game for the way the standings are right now. And Sunday, the Timbermen and Shamrocks play as well as the Adanacs and Burrard. So busy week. Lots of games on the schedule this week.
Yeah, and that's interesting because, by the time next Sunday rolls around, Coquitlam and Maple Ridge will already have played each other there 3 times for the season.
Yeah.
So that'll be something to watch if, you got those 2 teams fighting for one of the 3rd or 4th playoff spot. And those games kind of way in the rear view mirror come the end of the season.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, that brings us over to the major series lacrosse, and of course we'll talk about the All-Star games in the East. Since it is almost the same, right? But we start out on Monday night, and Owen Sound visited the Oakville Rock, and the Rock had named their captains and assistant captains in this game. And are you guys ready for this? Now I know that the Rock are in a bit of a rebuild mode. But the captain of the Oakville Rock this year is Josh Dawick. Second year in? He's far and ahead the best player on the floor right now for the Rock. And his assistant captains are Chris Weir is one of them. and Phil Mazuka is the other one. So it is the Toronto Rock of the Oakville Rock as the leaders of the Oakville Rock from the Toronto Rock. Get where I'm going?
Yep.
Captain Sass behind me.
Yep.
All right, in this game, Owen Sound outlasted the Rock with a strong third period. Although the Rock got off to a strong start, Owen Sound finished stronger. In the final two periods, the North Stars outscored the Rock 9-4, led by Tanner Buck, 2 goals and an assist, and Mitch Wild with 2 goals and an assist. Owen Sound went on a 4-goal run in the second period and a 3-goal run in the third. Andrew Kidd was stellar in the North Stars net. He made 54 saves on the night. He got peppered. But he was sensational, as we knew he would be. He's doing what he did in Senior B, now in MSL. Oakville put together a strong effort for 2 periods, led by Ty English with 2 goals and an assist, and Caden Brennan with 2 goals. However, the third period saw the North Stars take control of play. Owen Sound came away with the 11-8 victory. We move over to the Tuesday night, and this one was a wee bit ugly. It was Brooklyn facing the Six Nations, now with Ian McKay Chiefs. And, well, how should we say? It got ugly, and it stayed ugly. 2 5-1 periods, the first and the third. And for some reason, in the second period, it was a 1-1 period. So they went and got some water and some chicken wraps and got ready for the third. All I can say is that while Brooklyn put up an admirable fight, Six Nations were just too powerful to hold down for 3 periods. Led by Davin Bombury, 3 goals. Josh Byrne, 2 goals, 2 assists. Lyle Thompson, 2 goals and assist. Ryan Smith, 3 goals. Dane Smith, no goals but 5 assists. The Chiefs led wire to wire. Gee, sounds like an NL All-Star team, doesn't it?
Yeah.
First period saw Six Nations jump out to a 5-1 lead on the strength of 3 goals from Ryan Smith. The third period saw Davin Bombury complete his hat trick, as well as Lyle Thompson with a pair of goals for the 11-3 victory. Ugly. Now, not to say that Brooklyn wouldn't get, fall off the horse, get back on it. The very next night, the Brampton Excelsiors went into Brooklyn to face this particular Brooklyn Lacrosse Club. And a little bit different in this one. Once again, a game in which Brooklyn put a lot of shots on the net. Riley Hutchcraft had a great night in the Brampton net. He made 49 saves, but the Brampton offense couldn't solve a very tough Brooklyn defense. Brooklyn again was led by Tanner Cook with 3 goals, Will McLeod with 2 goals, Chris Boucher had a goal and 4 assists, and Connor Kiernan had a goal and 4 assists. Steve Orleman also had a strong night, making 36 saves behind a stingy Brooklyn defense. Brooklyn wins this game 7-4. Now the Excelsiors turned around the next night and hosted the Coburg Kodiaks over at the Memorial Arena. And this one was a pitcher's duel. This one finished 6-5. That's not after 1 period. As another defensive struggle that saw Coburg narrowly defeat the Brampton Excelsiors, Brock Haley led the way for Coburg with a hat trick, while Amos Whitcomb's pair kept the Excelsiors close. The third period saw Brampton take control of the game. Josh Medeiros and Bowie Horseman scored to bring the Excelsiors within 1, but that was as close as they would get. Both teams pressed down the stretch, but Connor O'Toole and Jackson Brown held strong the rest of the way. Coburg held on for that 6-5 win. The big one of the week, guys, actually happened the same night, and it was up in Peterborough. And, Oakville, with Josh Talwick as the captain, went in. Of course, Oakville has Landon Kells in net. And, of course, Nick Rose is the goalie for Peterborough. What happened there, guys? That's right. Oakville got their first win of the season, and they stunned the Lakers 9-7. And, in fact, this was interesting because Oakville finally got the monkey off their back with their first win of the season. Sam Leclerc with 3 goals, Tyler Hendricks with 2, led the offense for Oakville, while Joe Restaterets and Thomas Hogarth had a pair each for the Lakers. Peterborough took the lead in the third period, with goals from Russateris and Holden Cantoni. And however, goals from Sam Leclerc and Tyler Hendricks regained the Rock lead late. Zach Kearney added an empty net goal, and Oakville was your winner. But this was a great, hard-fought victory from Oakville to show that even though they're rebuilding and they are young, they do have fight in them, and they have taken the Lakers to task. Now, as much of a powerhouse as the Lakers are, and I may take a bit of flack for this, the thing that comes to mind is this is not the first game against teams that they should be just walking through. Earlier in the last Thursday, they played Brampton to a 6-4 victory or 6-5 victory. These are teams they should be winning 15-3. This is 2. They lost this one. Brampton, they barely got by 6-5, and Brampton really has no offense. Great defense, no offense. That's a little bit concerning for me, which is why the Peterborough made the trade, and they acquired both of the Burkhoff brothers. And they should add an immediate impact to the toughness of this team. But it's interesting that of all the things that I think of over the years, scoring has never been the issue for Peterborough. Sometimes goaltending, sometimes a bit of lack of defense, but it's never been the scoring. There's just too much firepower. Scoring seems to be at a very, very premium. But hey, what can you say? That leads us to last night's game, in which Six Nations went up to Owen Sound to face the North Stars. And, well, Six Nations doesn't disappoint. A game that both showcased the sheer power of the Chiefs lineup, but even more impressive, the dominant transition game that they have. Led by Tyson Bell with 3 goals and 1 assist, and I mean 3 highlight reel goals. 2 of them were unassisted. Latrell Harris with a goal and no assists, and Josh Ricci with a goal and an assist. Six Nations transition game accounted for 5 of their 12 goals. And not to be outdone, Ryan Smith with yet another hat trick, Josh Byrne with a goal, 4 assists, and Cody Jamieson with a goal and 3 assists had the strong offense showings as well. Owen Sound fought valiantly in the first period. They were only down 3-2 at the intermission. However, as the game wore on, the Chiefs were able to control the flow of the game more and more, outscoring the North Stars 9-3 in the next 2 periods. Six Nations defeats the North Stars 12-5. Any surprises in this? Not really.
No.
Maybe that it took them longer than 5 minutes into the first. Owen Sound, to their credit, is getting stronger and they're getting better. But I saw Lynn Withers, commissioner of MSL, yesterday. We had a chat, and of course, we're all calling it the All-Star of All-Star teams. The NL All-Star team is what Six Nations is, and unfortunately, there is no way to change this because everything is done above board. So I don't know. For me personally, it would be greater if there was a little more parity, because if you already have a foregone conclusion, this becomes the biggest preseason ever. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the West, not to that extent, but to a lesser extent, it is in the same realm. Now, not that I don't enjoy watching these guys, especially at a lot cheaper than if you're going to go see an NLL game, and you can watch them under one roof instead of having to go to 7 games to see them all. But man, I would just love to see. Well, before the Bandits and those guys got over there, and to watch the Peterborough beat them. Again, a very low-scoring game. Again, talking about the Peterborough offense. Defenses look great. Offense is non-existent. But they beat them like 6-4 or something like that. And that was a hell of a game. Lots of opportunities, lots of end-to-end action, just not the high-poweredness. Because wave after wave, we were talking about it yesterday, Lynn and I, and it was that they're running lines. Why else is there so many transition goals? Here's what they were doing in the Man Cup. They have so much firepower that you have Dane Smith and guys like that playing defense. Well, why not run 3 and 2? so everybody gets an opportunity. So it's starting to look a little bit like it used to. Now, the old timers, the Dave Durandys and guys like that, must love it because we're going back to old style lacrosse. But, it's just a little strange. You have so much firepower and only one ball, but they found a way to do it. And credit to Rich Kilgore, credit to, of course, John Tavares, and how to keep all the egos in check and see the big picture and see the prize, the three-peat of Man Cup. The goal, I guess, is to four-peat or five-peat and beat the Peterborough's four-peat. So will we see this for a few years to come? Probably. So doesn't that sound fun? But a lot of chicken wraps along the way.
At least there's chicken wraps.
Thank God for that. But upcoming this week, we had one game tonight also in Six Nations beat the Coburg Kodiaks. This just in 12-7. Six Nations on the power of 55 shots on net. Mind you, Coburg got 49 shots on net. So, Doug Jamieson against Jackson Brown as the goaltending battle. Once again, just looking briefly at this, and of course, the first thing I see is Latrell Harris. So again, we're talking about running lines, right? But for the Chiefs, leading the way was Shane Jackson with a pair of goals, Dawson Theed with a pair of goals, Larson Sundown with a pair of goals, and Ryan Smith with a pair of goals. About covers almost all the goals. Jameson had a goal, Latrell Harris had a goal, Brendan Bommery had a goal, and Ty Logan had a goal. For the Coburg Kodiaks, Brock Haley was the big scorer, 2 goals, 4 assists for him. Alex Marinier had a goal and an assist. Taylor Dooley with a goal. Aaron Woods with a goal. Holden Patterson had a pair of goals as well. Again, Jackson Brown made 43 saves on the night. Doug Jameson made 42 saves on the night. But Six Nations wins 12-7 just to keep them in the standings. Before we look at this week's games, Peterborough and Six Nations are now tied at 5-1 each. Brooklyn 4-2, Owen Sound 2-3, Coburg 2-4, Oakville 1-3, and Brampton still looking for their first win of the year at 0-5. Though I think they've lost 3 of the games by 1 goal, kind of like last year.
I'm going to lose him again.
Sounds like it.
Just a quick update on the WLA. Burnaby's up 7-2 on Nanaimo after 2 periods. So,
you're funny, Mike. You're talking about Burnaby earlier. Like, this is a big game for them, especially the week they've had. Three games this week.
Yeah, all on the road. So.
To drop all 3 would have been tough.
Yeah.
It's just briefly with the MSL this week. Coburg is into Oakville tomorrow night, 7:30 at the track. Tuesday, Owen Sound visits Six Nations over at the ILA. Wednesday, Oakville gets over to the Iroquois Park Sports Center in Whitby for that tilt with the Brooklyn LC. Thursday, Peterborough and Brampton face off again. This time it's at the Memorial Center in Brampton. I'm going to try and make that game. Brooklyn and Owen Sound are the Saturday game up in the Meaford Community Center. And Sunday, Oakville heads into Coburg on Father's Day over at the Coburg Community Center. Bring a jacket. It's a little cool there. The beer is ice cold. Don't worry. Got to walk half a mile around the track to get to it, but it is nice and icy cold. Probably have to chip the ice off it. It is cool in that arena. I always like it when they turn on the hockey things for the rink next door. It's a beautiful thing. Mind you, as I told you, the Brooklyn arena is starting to get a little cool now too. So, but hey, it is what it is, right? Summer over here in Ontario. I want to thank Shawn for bringing over some of that smoke. It's put a nice haze.
You're welcome. You're
Yep.
welcome.
Lovely haze in our sky.
Enjoy it. We're getting it too, so even worse.
Even more reason to go and enjoy your box lacrosse and get into your arenas, support your teams. The air is fresh in there. The smell of lacrosse. It has that je ne sais quoi. Just a reminder to everybody, we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we're on Thread, we're on X, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. Please check us out in all of those different social media platforms, as we have different things in all of them. And we are up to the minute with everything, all the news, all the reviews, all the recaps, and everything else that's coming about. So if you need to know something about what's going on, we are your Costco of lacrosse. We are your one-stop shop, having our fingers always on the pulse of the situation at all times. All of our guys are dedicated to everything going on in lacrosse, be it field, be it box, everywhere. I even have my hand over in NBLL over in the Czech Republic with Adam Sherpa, the commissioner over there. So we are covering the world over. That brings us over to last words. Shawn, let's start with you this week.
Yeah, over at WLA, later tonight, I think that Coquitlam Maple Ridge game is just going to be fantastic. But as you mentioned, Gary, circle Thursday night on your calendar, because that Victoria New West game, that's the heavyweight bout right there.
Yeah, that's the pre-finals to see what's going to happen. Regardless who has home advantage in that one, that's going to be a slobber knocker and a half, and definitely worth your time. If you can get onto the WLA website, the games are pay-per-view, but you can get in packages and go watch these games because they're worth your time. If you're out on the West Coast, by all means, please get to these games because these storied arenas are worth being in and are just money to be part of.
Oh, yeah.
Over in Ontario, we got a couple of great games every day of the week. Every day of the week, there's games this week. And Friday with no MSL, there is OSL. So you can catch a great game every single day of the week here. And you might pass me on the highway as I get to most every game of the week. I had 13 of them this week. But hey, I live for this stuff. This is what gets us through the day, is counting down to the evening. So love it. Love to see everybody at the arenas. Love talking with people at the arenas too. I have had some great conversations with a lot of lacrosse people and a lot of fans over the last number of weeks, and really look forward to having more conversations as the summer go along and hearing people's perspectives and ideas. And I think it's fantastic. I had a great interview with Brady Kiernan on Friday night. If you want to take a look at All Across All the Time's YouTube page, it is up there, as well as on my YouTube page at G Groob. Wonderful. Just over an hour, we talked about everything from his NCAA times, his times with the Gales, as well as his experience at the Rebeski tournament. And I loved when he started talking about that, and you just look at him light up. Talking, if I misquoted, I apologize, but it was, you're in a town, in a neighborhood where people are walking their dogs, and you thought you're going into a complex, but you're not. You're going into an outdoor rink in the middle of a neighborhood where there's schools and other things. And all of a sudden you walk in and there's thousands of people there, all for the same reason. And it's just mind blowing. So yeah, to watch and see the passion that he has for the game as a coach and as a player is amazing. And it was a great interview. And I wish the best for Brady and his brother Connor Kiernan, to really excel in this coming year with Ottawa, and to have a great year with Brooklyn Lacrosse Club and MSL. They're just beauties. They're great guys. So the league is in really good hands with guys like this at the helms. So, anyways, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Shamrocks Bellies game is big, but later tonight it's part 2 of Coquitlam Maple Ridge, and then next Sunday, part 3, Coquitlam Maple Ridge. So I think that's another, coming off that tie game from earlier this week.
Absolutely.
It's going to be one to watch. And then, of course, PLL Week 3, I mean, Next weekend, we're going to be a third of the way through that season already. So,
isn't that crazy? Not crazy. We just started.
Yeah.
But before you know it, we're going to talk about the NLL draft.
Yeah.
Or free agency in a couple of weeks. It's Fan Cup is only 6 weeks away, as I read today. As we're both up for shuffling off to Buffalo for this particular tournament this time around. If you happen to be anywhere in Ontario or in the Western New York area, even if you're not playing, all the money goes to charities of the local town that is doing it. So there's 3 or 4 charities that the Bandits faithful are working with. So all your money is worthwhile to come see it, to bid on the auctions. There's going to be some great stuff at the auctions. Hopefully it's online again as well, so that you can make bids from anywhere. And the Riverworks place that it is at this year has got something for everybody. Even if you're not into watching all the games of lacrosse, where sometimes guys are more interested on the riverboat and in having who's got the next coolie than the score of the game. There's things for everything, for everybody. There's axe throwing, there's river boats, there's all kinds of things for everybody. So you can even plan a little mini vacation around it and drive up to Western New York or down to Western New York from wherever you are, and grab a hotel for a day or two and have fun with all of the NLL faithful fans who come in and year out, raising money for charities. I believe it's somewhere in the neighborhood of a couple of 100,000 that have been raised over the years for really, really inspirational charities in all these different cities. As far away as Minnesota, Chicago, as close as Rochester, Buffalo, Toronto, all have teams in there. There's a number of other ones in there also of mixed and matched things. So also free agents, if you want to play and you don't have a team, you can sign up for it as well, going on to the Fan Cup website, and they will find you a team. So all are welcome. And maybe you can knock us roadies off our perch since we won last year. Yes, you could have knocked me off with a feather too that we won. That was a long day. Any day that you get to play 6 games in a day is a long day. But boy, oh boy, did the whirlpool in the pool ever feel good. The hot tub in there, oh boy, oh boy. Almost half asleep at the afterwards festivities as the banquet goes on in your. Mind you, I won all those Philadelphia bobbleheads last time. Isn't that amazing? I collect bobbleheads. So if you have any of their lacrosse center, DM me. I can probably work out a deal with some of the extras I have here. But that's for another day. Anyways, have yourselves a great week. For Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw and for Muffler Mike over in Connecticut, I'm Gary Groob in Toronto, wishing you the best of weeks. A reminder, next week is Father's Day, but we will be on at our normal time, I hope.
Nope. This Roger's telling you you're not.
Yeah.
Maybe we will, maybe we won't. That's Roger's turn of the week. Jeez. Good night, everyone. Always fun with these guys, aren't they? I'm going to drive by Skydome just for the fun of it now. Anyways, remember, keep your sticks high, keep your spirits higher. And until we meet again next week, have a great week all and take care. Catch some of those games live.